Good day, Deep and Word family. Welcome to day 80 of our Bible study review. Today we're going through chapters 19 through 21 of the book of Judges. And let me tell y'all something. I could not be more excited than to close out a book than I am the book of Judges because it's a hot mess. Out of all of the books in the Bible, this is my least favorite. I'm going to be honest with you. Why? Because this is such a ratchet time. They forgot the law. They had partial parts of the law and they were just doing whatever they thought was right according to their emotion. I don't know. They had so much Canaanite pagan mixture in their worship and they started worshiping Yahuwah Elohim in the way of the pagans. Hello, what the church is doing today. So let's open up chapter 19 and let's just talk about all the ways in which all of this is wrong, okay? So it opens up talking about this Levite, right? And the Levites are of the Levitical priesthood. So this Levite has a concubine. Now, concubines are kind of like a second wife. They don't have the first title of wife, but legally they have some rights. And yes, they do birth the children, but he's already breaking the law. The Levitical priesthood is called to have one wife, and he has a concubine. It says that his concubine became angry with him and she became unfaithful. She left his house, right? Because she's still called the concubine, somewhat of a second wife. So she calls him husband. Well, she left him because I don't know what he said to her. I don't know what he did, but she became unfaithful and she went back to her father's house. She had an affair and then went back to her father's house because she's done. It says that this Levite man goes to chase after her. He goes to her father's house, which is in Bethlehem. This Levite, though, is like a traveling Levite who doesn't live in the land of his inheritance. He wandered up in the land of Ephraim. So now he's going back down to Bethlehem to go get his concubine, who's tired of him. He travels with 2 servants and donkeys, and he goes to the father-in-law's house, and the father welcomes him in, right? Think about it. The father has his daughter back in the home and the husband is coming back to get her. So he might be ashamed, he's probably excited and nervous all at the same time. So he invites him in, stays for 4 days, and each day he doesn't want him to leave. He's like, stay another day, stay another day. On the 5th day, right, this Levite man had had enough. He was ready to go. So the Levite man packed up all of his stuff, his donkeys, his servants, his concubine, and they all headed towards the land of Jerusalem. Now back then it wasn't called Jerusalem, it was called Gibeah, because the Jebusites were still in that land. Remember, the children of Israel would not kick out all of the inhabitants of the land. And so as they're approaching Gibeah, modern day Jerusalem, one of the man's servants told the Levite man, hey, let's settle here. And he goes, oh no, we're not going to stay here where the foreigners are. They're not going to be welcoming us. And so he says, come, we're going to go to where our people are, where the Benjamites are. So they decide to stop in Gibeah. And the sun is going down, they're sitting in the town square, and no one is offering to take them in for the night. And you have to understand that back in the day, hospitality was everything. This is their culture. But the people have become so cold that they saw this traveler with his wife, aka concubine, donkeys, they saw all of it, and they just passed them by. The only one who was willing to take him in was a man who was a foreigner of the land. This man was actually a farmer, and he moved down from the land of Ephraim. And he told him, you can come in and stay with me. Please don't stay any longer in this city square. The Levite told this man, he goes, look, I have all of my own provisions. I just need a place to stay. And he says, you won't have to worry about provision. And this man was extremely hospitable to them. He fed them, washed their feet. He showed more kindness than the natives of the land. And while they're all enjoying their meals, sitting down, enjoying themselves, the men of the city, the Benjamites, surround the house, bang on the door, and they say, bring out the man, the men, the travelers that you have, that we may know them carnally. Is this ringing a bell? Judges chapter 19 is almost exactly like Genesis 19. Remember the whole story with Sodom and Gomorrah? Yeah, we're seeing this type of story play out again. So the master of the house, he came out and he told the men, please don't act this way towards these men. This is an evil act. He says, I will give you my virgin daughters. And he goes, you can have his concubine. Do whatever you feel is right in your eyes to them. But the men were not willing to listen. So the Levite man takes his concubine and forces her out the door. And they rape her all night long until morning. The Levite man gets up in the morning and he sees that his concubine is lying there at the front of the door. And he coldly tells her, "Get up, let's go." Knowing exactly what has happened to her, he sees that there's no answer from her. Mind you, the text does not say that she's dead. So he mounts her on the donkey and takes her back home, cuts her body in 12 pieces, and spreads it all across the land. Everyone who saw this atrocity came together and said, "No evil like this has been done since the day we left out of Egypt." So they came together to take counsel. We open up chapter 20 and we see that now all of the children of Israel, except the Benjamites, come together and assemble at Mizpah. And they seek the face of Yahuwah. And they want to understand. Over 400,000 men with swords. They ask the Levite what happened. And I want you to see how he switches up the story. This is what the Levite man tells them. Let's read from verse 4. So the Levite, the husband of the murdered woman, answered, "My concubine and I came to Gibeah in Benjamin to spend the night. Then the leaders of Gibeah rose up against me. At night they surrounded the house where I was staying. They wanted to kill me. Instead they ravished my concubine so that she died." Again, the text does not say that she died. Verse 6. "I seized my concubine, cut her into pieces, and sent her throughout all of the territory of Israel, because they committed an infamous and disgraceful act in Israel." You see how he's not taking any responsibility for this. You see how he doesn't tell them that the men wanted to rape him, and he allowed them to rape his wife, his concubine, all night until the morning. And because she wouldn't respond back to him, he took her home in the land of Ephraim and cut her to pieces. And he's blaming the Benjamites. He let these men violate his wife, his concubine, and he cared nothing for her pain. Ooh, I can't wait for this study to be over. So the Levite man is playing the victim card. And so he says, as he gives his testimony of the story, to all of the children of Israel, he goes, "Now I'm coming to seek counsel here. Advise me in what to do." And so all of the children of Israel, minus the Benjamites, come together and they say, "No one will go back to their tent. We will go and make war against the Benjamites." So all of Israel, they do. They go up and they make war with Benjamin. And at first, it seems like they're losing. And they do get defeated in the beginning. And then at the very end, they almost destroy Benjamin down to nothing. And after this battle, there were only 600 Benjamites left. The tribe of Benjamin is almost extinct. Chapter 21 opens up in Mizpah. So all of the children of Israel are back to this place where they make agreements. And they made a vow not to let any of their daughters marry a Benjamite. They made a vow. They take these vows very serious. And then they realize what has happened. They realize that the tribe of Benjamin is almost wiped out of the children of Israel. Then they cry and plead to Yahuwah, when in the previous chapter they were crying out to him on how to defeat Benjamin. Now they're asking Yahuwah, why has this happened? And so now they're pitying Benjamin and they're trying to preserve this tribe. But now there's an issue. There's no wives for them to marry. There's no way for them to repopulate because they all made a vow not to give their daughters over to them. So they remembered that the people of Israel who agreed to go up to war, that there was a group in Jabesh Gilead who did not go up to go make war with the Benjamites. And so they all agreed to go in and ravish that town, to kill the men, to kill the wives, and to only let the virgins live so that they can be wives for the Benjamites. But there's only 400 virgins. So there's still 200 Benjamites without wives. So now all of the children of Israel are trying to figure out how are we going to acquire 200 more virgins for the Benjamites that are left. So they said, oh, we remember that there's this festival, this annual festival of Yahuwah. It's probably Passover or Sukkot. And they said, oh, the daughters of Shiloh, they usually come out and they dance during the festival. So they advised the remaining 200 Benjamites to hide in the vineyards and to basically kidnap the daughters who were dancing during the festival of Yahuwah, to take them for their wives. Do you see how they created a loophole? Because they promised they wouldn't give any daughters over. And the book of Judges ends much like it begins, with the same saying. In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. Now this book is very frustrating for me to read. It really, truly is. And I liken it to the days that we live in. It's frustrating to see what is unfolding in the earth right now. Because everyone has denied God. Or if they claim God, they deny his holy laws. And they're living their life however they want. I'm patiently waiting for the day that those trumpets blow. Because much like in the book of Judges, it's starting to get ghetto in the earth. Deep Inward family, I'm so glad that the book of Judges is finally finished. I will see you tomorrow for the opening of 1 Samuel. Until then, Yah bless.